How does protein shape affect body system functions? Right now, you should be turned to page 5 of your Unit 4 homework packet. Do now. What do you remember about enzymes and shape? Take a moment now and write your response. Okay, let's see what you remember. You should have remembered that enzymes have a specific shape. And remember that shape determines what substrate it can join with in order to be digested or synthesized. If it doesn't fit, it won't work. Remember that shape determines function. So notice in our picture here, our substrate has the same or opposite shape, rather, as the active site of our enzymes, in which case it will work and be able to digest the substrate into multiple pieces. So there are two body systems that really deal with communication within organisms. And these two systems are the nervous and the endocrine systems, which you might already remember because we've talked about how they help with sending messages and receiving messages. The nervous system sends messages through high-speed electrical signals along specialized cells called neurons. The endocrine system works a little bit differently. It's made up of glands that secrete hormones that are much slower, but they have longer acting responses. So for example, your nervous system might tell you to get out of the way if a car is coming straight at you. It's a very quick response to move your muscles to get you out of the way. The endocrine system might tell a message like grow. Growth would happen over several years in a human's lifetime, and hormones are being secreted at different periods in order for that growth to happen. So let's talk about the nervous system messengers for a moment. Again, neurons are also called nerve cells. That's what's communicating from one cell to another in order for the nervous system to work. They send messages called neurotransmitters. So if you look at this picture, you can see 3 different neurons or nerve cells with a purple nucleus inside of each. And you can see they're not quite touching each other. And what happens in between these areas, called the axon, this part, the synapse is the break in between, and these are the dendrites on the other side. So notice they're all kind of lined up in the same direction. And if we zoom in really close, we would see neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are these chemical messages. For example, serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, and acetylcholine are all different kinds of neurotransmitters. Notice that they're being sent across from one neuron into another, and if you notice, the shape needs to match here. So that circular shape matches down here in order for the cell to receive the message. That will carry out through many, many cells in order for a message to get sent from one location to another. The endocrine system messengers are called hormones. So hormones are also chemicals. They're secreted into the blood of the circulatory system in order to carry its messages. The hormones can reach all the cells of the body, but there are certain cells that they actually go to within those parts. Those cells are called target cells. And notice we've got a picture down here of target cells, different target cells here. And notice they've got different cell receptors on the surface of this cell membrane. So we have some that kind of have a circular shape, others have more of a Y shape or a V. Now we also have 2 different kinds of hormone, hormone A and hormone B. In order to connect with this circular shaped receptor on the cell membrane, which hormone would be able to send its message, hormone A or hormone B? Hopefully you knew that it was hormone A that could send that message. Hormone B would only be able to go in this blue cell and this green cell, whereas hormone A would only go into the yellow cell and the blue cell. So it's possible to have receptors for different kinds of hormones, in one single cell. But it has to have that receptor in order for the message to get sent. So the similarities between these two. Hopefully you already realize that both send messages. Whether it's a hormone or a neurotransmitter, they have to send a message in order for it to work. Both of the hormones and neurotransmitters require a specific shape, really similar to how we talked about enzymes. So if that shape doesn't match for the receptor and the actual chemical, it won't be able to send its message and cause that response. So the receptors on the surface of the cell membranes much match the shape. And then you can see there's a response happening within the cell. Again, this is a picture of a cell with the cell membrane and that bilipid layer. So let's do a quick summary. 2 questions. Number 1, what do enzymes, hormone, and neurotransmitters have in common? And number 2, looking at this picture, draw a neurotransmitter that would be able to communicate with the receptor on the surface of nerve cell B in area 1. Take a moment and answer those 2 questions now. Okay, so first question 1, what do those 3 things have in common? Hopefully you remembered that enzymes, hormones, and neurotransmitters all must have a specific shape in order to perform its function. If that shape doesn't work, unfortunately the function cannot happen and they won't be able to work properly. Question 2. In the figure below, there are 2 nerve cells trying to communicate. So let's just look very closely at area 1 of nerve cell B. There's a dotted circle around it, and there's also an arrow right now pointing to it on the screen. What would the shape of the neurotransmitter need to be in order to work with nerve cell B? Remember, neurotransmitter would be sent from nerve cell A to B across the synapse here, but it would need to match this shape. So, something like this drawing of a neurotransmitter in blue would be correct. Again, as long as it has this shape that would link up to the part of nerve cell B as the receptor, then it's fine. The outside shape doesn't matter. Hopefully you understood all of the connections between the nervous and endocrine systems, but if you were a little confused, either ask your teacher or maybe watch this video one more time.